As you may have heard, this time the microphones will be muted. They were listening to you, Jeff. Jeff's been saying that from day one.
Day one.
That way, each candidate will not be heard interrupting the other during their 2-minute answers on the topics. We're also learning what lines of attack the candidates are likely to take. The president will challenge Biden, we would only imagine, about his son Hunter and the alleged emails that were found on his laptop. Joe Biden, we believe, will likely challenge the president about his large rallies that go against coronavirus protocols, as well as the president's attacks against his own health officials like Dr. Fauci. Okay, so Jeff, literally for months now, you've been saying, even before, you said it when it was just like the normal debates, right? When it was looking for a Democratic candidate, presidential candidate, before it was even the dumpster fire that it was a couple weeks ago, you said mute the mics.
Well, if I did, awesome. What a great idea. But I just want to hear them talk a little bit longer. That was the whole thing. And I believe the way they're setting this up is they're going to ask Donald Trump a question, give him 2 minutes to answer, muted, uninterrupted, and vice versa with Joe Biden. But then after their 2 minutes, they're going to be able to go at each other. There's still going to be a little back and forth. It's just going to be that 2 minutes uninterrupted, which is, I think, a great step up from what we had last time. I think anywhere we go from last time is going to be a step up.
And Jeff, you'll see this a lot when like in couples in group therapy. They'll usually have like a ball or a stick or something, and when that person is holding that, they are the only people that are allowed to talk. And although that might look silly or seem silly to some people, the reason for that is when you mute everybody else, somebody can complete a sentence, which leads to completing a thought, which means that you can communicate. If I am trying to say something and Sam says, Al, you can't say that, and I'll say, well, what do you mean I can't say that? Now I'm off subject of what I was originally talking about, and it is a tactic to kind of, take away from the person's message. So let's air these ideas out, give them oxygen, and if people resonate with them, they will fly, and if they don't, they'll flop.
Yeah, because otherwise it cheats the American people, right? We all want to learn about yelling. The policies.
It's Bad Girls Club.
That was a good show.
It was.
Okay. Late night hosts love to rip politicians on their shows, and a new study is looking at Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon. It turns out they target the president way more than Joe Biden, and it's not even close. 97% of the jokes on those shows went after the president. 455 were about President Trump, and just 14 jokes were about Biden. So, Jeff, is that fair to the president, or is it just easier to make fun of the president? Because Joe Biden isn't, listen, he's boring, in my opinion. Yeah. Joe Biden's boring.
Listen, late night has been making fun of presidents since the beginning of their start. Saturday Night Live always makes fun of the presidents. But given the political climate we're in and where we're at as a country, I don't think it's fair. I think they need to even the playing field a little bit. 62% of Americans get their information through media sources like social media, like online. Let me just give you Twitter, for example, Sam. 10%, or let me do it this way, 92% of the information on Twitter is given by 10% of the people. 68% of those people are known liberals. They say, I am liberal, not independent, not, I don't know where I'm at right now. They're known liberals. So that's 68% out of 92 that are leaning liberals that are giving you information on media. This is just Twitter alone. So there is a big differentiation on liberal and Republican news that we're receiving as an independent public.
Yeah, but
I would say the same thing about Facebook, though. Facebook is very right-leaning. Facebook is very conservative, and Facebook is run by Jeff Zuckerberg, who is at least friendly with our president.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Excuse me, what did I say?
Jeff Zuckerberg. CNN.
Okay. I know he'd be happy to hear that he read. Yes.
And you added a Berg to Jeff Zuckerberg.
So, he's not only fairly friendly with our president, I mean, let's be honest, TikTok, that was kind of really dominating Instagram and Facebook combined, all of a sudden the president had a problem with them and they were forced to sell that to an American company. So that's very interesting that, yes, Twitter is very liberal, but Facebook and Instagram, which are owned by at least somewhat conservative guy, when competition came that was beating them soundly, all of a sudden that competition was eliminated and was about to be banned in the United States. So, but I think the bottom line is we shouldn't be getting onto some social media, but we do anyway.
Listen, I agree with you, Jeff. I do.
Let me jump in too when you're done.
Okay, I do agree with you. However, when it comes to late night, and I know that late night skews liberal, let's not pretend that it doesn't. That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
Can it just boil down to material? Like Clinton, there's a lot of material.
Jay Leno
to go
made his career
after
on Bill Clinton jokes.
Rightfully so. There's a lot of material to go after President Trump. He is a caricature. So whether you like him or not, whether you like Clinton or not, that's easy jokes to write about. Jeff?
Yeah, I agree, and I said since the beginning of the time, Saturday Night Live, they're making fun of the president. It's just a different climate right now. People aren't reading the newspaper. People aren't making their own opinions objectively. They're being persuaded by our media. There's algorithms in our media, I don't want to go into all this, that are persuading you into what you believe. Google is under fire right now for when you Google search something, it skews your answers depending on where you live. If I'm in Colorado, it gives me one answer. If I'm in California, it gives me a completely different set of websites to go to. That's leaning the media. You can't have that. That's propaganda.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have that.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I do. There needs to be some ethics and some fact checking, and it goes to show with even like QAnon as well. Like all of that needs to be stopped.